abductions. As far back as 27,000 BC, Tanzanian rock paintings show flying craft, and cave dwellers in Italy from 10,000 BC left representations of suited visitors. Nepalese craftsmen from 7000 BC produced plates showing hovering disc-shaped objects and reptilian creatures, and statues dated 4000 BC were found in Kiev, one of which would seem to represent a suited space traveller. Japanese and Chinese histories and legends are rich with tales of flying chariots and disc-shaped objects, and numerous ancient books and woodcuts document these. The Middle Ages brought with them many documented cases of flying objects, and there exist many tapestries and woodcuts which include discs, flying objects, and even space battles. The most famous of these is a woodcut found in Nuremberg, Germany, in 1561, which appears to show flying objects in combat. The Renaissance art movement produced a range of famous paintings showing flying craft, often in communication with religious figures of the time, such as Mary and Christ. The golden age of UFO sightings started around the same time humans began nuclear development, a fact which many ufologists believe is no coincidence. During the Second World War, there were numerous cases of experienced pilots being buzzed by glowing balls, a phenomena they started referring to as Foo Fighters. The invention of radar helped to track these, and many inexplicable objects appeared on radar traces, often moving far faster and in ways that aeroplanes of the time simply could not recreate. A sighting of one of these in June 1947 led to the creation of the term flying saucer. The most well-known UFO incident of all time, and the one which introduced ufology to the mainstream, was the infamous UFO crash at Roswell, New Mexico, in July 1947. Military sources announced to the local newspaper that a flying disc had crashed and wreckage had been recovered. The story was later rescinded and explained as a weather balloon, but the variety of conflicting evidence, stories, and proven and unproven facts have ensured that the Roswell incident, as it came to be known, is still the most talked about case in ufology. The 1950s saw an increase of UFO sightings and in the number of reports of human contact with extraterrestrials. Some of these were positive, but increasingly, individuals started to report the cases of UFO abductions, being taken against their will and forced to undergo interrogations or medical procedures. Human contact came to prominence with the well-publicized reports by George Adamski, who claimed to be repeatedly in contact with an ET called Orthon from the planet Venus. Adamski's writings have been the subject to much skepticism, in particular as he claimed to have walked unprotected on Venus, a planet we know is incapable of supporting human life. The most famous abduction case of the period occurred in 1961, when husband and wife Betty and Barney Hill, in the book The Interrupted Journey, they described seeing a bright light which landed and whose occupants then forced them to enter a craft, performed medical tests on them before showing them a star map of their home region of space. They claim to have been returned to their car some hours later, and records of their journey seem to show 4 hours of missing time. 1975 saw the well-known Fire in the Sky UFO abduction case, where a forest logging crew was chased by a 6-meter-wide flying object. When they stopped their vehicle and got out, Travis, one of the crew, was hit with a strong beam of light and then pulled upwards into the object, which flew away rapidly. Despite 5 days of intensive searching, the authorities could not find him. However, he reappeared in a distressed state and spoke of an abduction, medical tests, even passing lie detector tests when relating his experience. As UFO sightings became more common, the stigma of embarrassment associated with reporting them was reduced, and many famous people came forward with their tales and experiences. In 1969, Jimmy Carter, later to become US President, filed a 2-page report of his UFO sighting, and ex-President Ronald Reagan reported 2 experiences of seeing UFOs. Musicians and actors including Mick Jagger, John Lennon, and appropriately Star Trek actor William Shatner have spoken publicly about their UFO sightings. The combination of these reports, along with popular film and television science fiction shows such as The X-Files, effected a change in attitude by the public and press towards ufology, and by the time of the millennium the subject was widely accepted.